we should record?
No, not yet. I'll give you a cue.
Okay. Funny thing is, special window. I wonder if that was here before me.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, if you got a two.
I'm
But it's two.
Alright, I'm putting out the bat signal.
So, you're gonna like it.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Impulse. Hello, Rick Bogus. Thank you for joining us. Bat signal is out. Sweet, good on the stream here. Good here. Good here. Looks like we are just about good to go. Come on, YouTube Cash. Do your thing. There it goes. Alright. Alright. Looks like we're good. I'm gonna go to our faces. Pretty faces. Alright.
Sweet.
Ready to do this. I'm gonna refresh this chat down here and make sure the chat's working. Hello, chat audience. If you'd like to say hello, help me test something here. What up, Swaroop? What up, Gav? I'm gonna say hello myself here. Hopefully the chat works. Sometimes it's a little wonky, but you know. There it goes. All right, we got
there we
chats. Liam Clisham. Nickname.
Oh, Lee.
All the peoples. All right. Cool. I am
Tacos.
tacos.
I love tacos. My favorite meal.
I'm all set here. Let me turn off my metronome. You don't want to hear my metronome when I'm recording. Oh, I should probably give a save location. If you want to start rolling, you can.
Okay. Sweet.
Gustav. Right. Perry. What's up, Perry? Yeah, da, da, da. This is episode 194, 195.
195. Oh my gosh. We almost made it to 200.
Yeah, we're trying to...
The 200.
Then he's syndicated.
Right?
Yeah. And you get residuals.
Yeah.
What's residuals of nothing?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right, I got a save location. We're good there. And I'm rolling. Check, check, check. You are hearing me talk. Okay. Bobby. What up, Bobby? Matt. What up, Matt? Okay. Representing D-Town. I think we're ready
Dallas?
to go. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
A lot of new faces in Dallas popping up. It's getting,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. You think it's the meetups, like the community meetups that you guys are?
Yeah, I think it's people finally finding each other, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's kind of how it is in Louisville as well. Like we were sitting at Siggraph and there was a guy from Louisville that was sitting next to Thom and we didn't, it was
We
like,
didn't know him.
We
Yeah.
didn't know him.
Yeah.
And
everybody
he was at
finally crawls out of the cracks and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, emerges
Yeah.
in sunny California.
All right, I think we're good to go. So you're rolling, I'm rolling. Just keep an eye on your stream, keep your waveform up just in case, and if it stops at any time, just let me know and we'll just pause for the cause and make sure we're good, and then we'll keep going. So.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. It looks like our meters are pretty good. So.
Cool. I'd rather you be lower than too high. So
distorting.
Yeah.
Clipping.
All right. Cool. People are starting to roll in here, so we'll start moving. All right, here we go. What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave, and joining me today is Tom Little and Brandon Clements from Thethree Productions.com.
Yeah.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
I guess I should mention that Matt is not here today. He had a prior engagement, but we got some good stuff coming up. Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Welcome to our new listeners who may have joined us after seeing some of our content at Siggraph. We're excited that you're joining us. We, of course, last week did not do the thing we usually do when we come back in town, which is play all the audio from all the interviews, because we did not do the interviews. There was a lot of stuff going on, and we were super, super humbled to have so many people show up to that podcast on Monday nights. It started out, there were maybe a very, very small handful of us there when we were setting up, and we're like, you know, that's cool, that's cozy, 6 people. And then by the time the show was over, there were like 40 people in the room. So that was just absolutely amazing, and the show was great. I do plan on re-releasing 2 things. Number one, I'm going to do the sweetened audio version as a video with the stream that we did, because it's really hard to do all that audio on the fly with so many people. And then probably release the little Beeple clip separately, because that was just a fantastic, fantastic section of the show. But so many great artists. We got so many good interviews there with so many people that we would have basically had the same conversation with on the floor. So Matt and I just decided to take a break. I was going on vacation anyway. Of course, what happens when you're going full force all year, and then you just stop? You get sick.
Yeah.
Of course. This is how it works. So I've been
Catches
sick.
up.
Yeah. You're catching up. I'm back at work trying to play catch up. So we're going to make this a short show. I've been sick for like 5 days. And I've also got a little short that I started working on before I took a little bachelor party trip to Nashville. And it's just been cut short because of this being sick and such. But here's the thing. Mike Winkleman, a.k.a. Beeple, gave me a deadline. And he put it in his calendar when I need to be done with my little short I was doing. So I need to go finish that this week. So we're going to have a short show. I know we always say that, but it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And then let's see. Do I have any other this week stuff wrap up? One note I was going to say, make sure you update your apps before you leave town. It never fails that I'll take a laptop or something and I'll go out of town to do something, and then I'll get a call from a client or something, and they're like, hey, can you do this little quick edit, fix this one thing or something on a lower third? And I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And I open up After Effects to do it real quick, and it's like, this was created in a version of After Effects that's brand new, and you haven't updated your laptop in 2 years, so Now you got to do that,
Yep.
and you've got like 56K modem speed in your hotel room, you know. So, piece of advice there. And other thing I'll say is I am just actually now figuring out how Instagram stories work. I'm so new with Instagram, and like I'm understanding Instagram more in the last couple years, but stories were still like I just didn't get why you needed stories separately. And I'm getting it now, and because when you're with a large group of people, it's really fun to tag each other and add things to each other's stories that maybe you didn't get, and then go back and see like other things that happened that night. You know, I was in this corner doing this, and then this was happening over here and whatnot. So now it makes sense to me that when you actually have a social life, stories make sense.
It's the instant part of Instagram, right?
Right. So I understand that now. So what we're going to do today is kind of our tradition, I'd have to say now, because we've done it twice, right? So it's Brandon, to have you give us a kind of a wrap up of what you saw at Siggraph. I'm stuck in the booth the whole time, so I don't get to go see all the stuff and things. But before we do that, I would like to catch everybody up on what you've been up to and what has changed in the last year or so with you. And I think Thom, you're probably going to give us a little insight on that.
Yeah. So basically, I was working with Scapecchio, who's an ad agency here in Louisville, Kentucky, and kind of doing our own thing, you know, being a vendor and kind of working freelance with other artists on larger projects. And then I started to get to know Thom a lot more just from working on projects, and we started talking about business, and he's like, well, where do you want to go with this? Where are you headed? And I think a lot of the leadership internally and everyone here on this it's such a larger scale than what I'm used to, just were like, yeah, that sounds great. That's where we want to go to, and we want to invest in content. So that's kind of how I ended up here. I was mostly hanging around the office from like October till December, and then they were like, you want a position?
Yeah, we definitely did some dating in the middle there before we got married. He got to just float at a desk for a couple months and work with the team, and then we moved you and you sat with the team and got to learn the chemistry. So it was definitely a thoughtful decision you made because you've already auditioned everything, and we auditioned you, and it really worked out. So yeah. But basically, our agency Scapecchio is part of the Ovari group, and they also we just spun off the video team, which I run, into Thethree Productions. So we used to be part of Scapecchio as their video department, and now we're Thethree Productions, where we're serving the agency as well as other clients that don't specifically work with the agency. We're based here in Louisville, and we serve offices in Cincinnati, Columbus, and Orlando.
Yeah.
So tell everybody like the scope of what you do.
Well, it's changed since Brandon joined us. We started. I moved to Louisville, Kentucky from New York. I worked at RGA in New York. We had a motion graphics team of 28 people, and we got here, and I was the only producer, and just was able to develop a team internally here from the ground up. So we have two animators, a senior animator and a regular animator. We have a video editor. We have a producer who's also a shooter, and then we have a junior producer, a senior producer, and then we have Brandon, whose title is Immersive Experiential Lead / Technologist. So he's really taken us into the 3D realm, into VR, AR, as well as motion capture, previs, you name it. So he's really expanded our capabilities. Our clients always asking for faster, cheaper, and why build a set on a stage when Brandon can build it in his world.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
So what is there anything that you can talk about so far that you're working on? Like how secretive is this right now, or is there some fun stuff you can give us a preview of?
Well, I can just talk about a specific project we had where we had a shoot on Vancouver with a director. So there was a higher budget project where we worked with an outside production company, and we had a scene where we were a couple people on a rooftop, and the camera's behind them. You thought they were on a beach, and then you reveal that they're actually chilling on a rooftop in an urban setting with one of our clients' products. And when you're shooting with an outside production company, every hour is upwards of $3,000 to $4,000.
Mhm.
And we really just wanted to have our ducks in a row ahead of time as far as how we're going to do it and just focus on executing. So we basically motion captured the scene with our Rococo suits.
Yeah.
Then Brandon built a previs in Unity. Then we Skyped with the director. They picked the camera movements and lenses. I mean, we hired the director for their POV, so we're not going to tell him how to shoot it. So
Yeah.
he was able to chime in remotely and get it just where he wanted it. And then we shot green screen. What was probably the most complicated piece of our shoot, which had 7 pieces, this was the most complicated one, and we shot it probably the fastest. We shot it in about an hour, got what we needed. Client was happy with what we did, and then Brandon took over and built the virtual city beyond the rooftop, and we took it home from there.
Yeah.
But that was just something that we never would have done without Brandon joining us and bringing the technology to our world, and it kind of inspired me to learn more about Unity and do that stuff.
So Unity, is that your main program of choice with that, or are you hopping back and forth between different pieces of software?
All kinds of stuff, really.
I love Unity because it's free.
Right.
Yeah, Unity because it's free, and there's like hardly any barriers getting into it now. There's so much information out there, and we're trying to move to a place where we can be collaborative with clients and with the entire team. So, that kind of equation doesn't have a render time, when you want to actually collaborate and just visualize things very quickly. So like it was kind of a no-brainer to move into like rasterization and just like start setting up scenes and building blocks and then like exporting those into larger packages like any other DCC that can handle doing ray tracing or path tracing and deliver something that looks really nice. But we're almost there. I mean, I think to where we can do Final Pixel in real time, which is so crazy. That's most of what Siggraph was for me again this year was real-time ray tracing and meeting. We were there for a shorter amount of time. Thom and I both flew in and we divided and conquered, saw everything we wanted to. And then, I sat in on a lot of courses that historically have been really good and just got better with time. This year it was super informative, and we've had basically a full year of dealing with like ray tracing hardware and like what does that mean, for the people in the room who are watching these talks. And so I got to meet a lot of really cool people.
RTX is on. RTX is on now. Then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Jason. He's our good buddy.
Going into that question.
So somebody was asking about Unity or Unreal. Now Unreal is free too. Is there I know there are certain levels where you have to pay. I don't remember what that is, or if it's different between Unity and Unreal.
Yeah, it kind of gets a little muddier when you're creating a piece of software or game that's actually earning over $100,000 a year. So that's when you get into like licensing and sharing revenue. With
both of these platforms, or?
That's a good question. I know with Unreal, just because I've had experience with it, yes, you have to share. But they're actually like super negotiable. Like you can negotiate with them, because like our small little VR game that we did in 2015, like we just put it up when people were experimenting and trying to find out what works in VR. We were just like, hey, we're like earning like nothing on this. Is it cool if we just keep most of this and give you like 1%? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. They didn't care. Like, because it was earning so low, but that's I don't know if that's really a big revenue stream for the engine stuff now. I mean, obviously, like with the indie space, there's a lot of very successful games, but if you look at games sales as a whole on the indie level, there's only a few that really shine through, and then the rest of them are pretty moderate in terms of sales.
And let me jump in with my friend Jason here. Free. For the record, we paid for Unity. We have a paid version. The reason I said I like it because it's free is I downloaded the free one, and I'm sitting there flying back from Siggraph. I ripped a couple YouTube demo videos and tutorials and watched them on my flight. I'm messing around with Unity on my producer laptop, which was the free version. Yet any commercial exports for our clients will be on his paid. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. And there's, with Unity, like Thom said, there's a pro version. So pro grants you a ton of like really useful tools, like for instance, Cache Server. We use that on a project in New York, and basically what that allows you to do is kind of have this repository that has all the asset hashes. So then you can basically have one computer overnight calculate everything that you need, depending on like what you're putting into the engine. And then it actually divvies it up to all the computers on that network. So when you come in the next morning, everyone can open simultaneously, and they don't have to do asset hashes locally.
Okay.
For anyone who knows like Unity and has worked with Unity, it's very annoying to wait on that calculation.
And on top of that, if you're doing paid work for commercial clients, you have to have the paid version.
Yeah.
So, which is what we do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's this other thing?
Perry said Unreal doesn't do that for linear pre-rendered content, which makes it ideal for animation rendering.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're just using it to create images and sequences and stuff, yeah, they're not gonna ever knock on your door.
Yeah,
which is great. You know, I mean, they have an amazing deferred engine. It looks beautiful.
So we're talking about the Boardman demo.
Which one?
The Boardman demo of Unreal out at Siggraph.
The Boardman demo.
Matt Boardman.
Oh, Workman. Matt Workman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was someone that I met that I've been trying to meet for a long time. We've been like talking on Skype for years, and he lives in Boston. But are you familiar with Matt Workman?
I'm not.
Dave,
no, I don't think so.
So for anyone who's not familiar with his stuff, if you go to cinematographer's database or cinematography database on YouTube, he's like growing like exponentially right now. He's teaming up with the Unreal Engine. He's developed his own software in Unreal for pre-visualization and storyboarding. And he actually has real-time ray tracing in his software. So you can like download it on Steam. Just search Cinetracer on Steam and check it out, because it's actually super, super powerful for DPs, directors, cinematographers, anyone who's trying to get a concept across to someone else. You know, it's a great collaboration tool. And so like I finally got to meet him and talk to him. We just sat down and nerded out for like an hour and a half, just sitting at their booth. He introduced me to a lot of really incredible engineers at Epic Games, and then he did his presentation. But yeah, the night before at the user group, all these videos are online, by the way. At the user group, if you just search Unreal Engine user group, Siggraph 2019, you'll see it's like an hour and a half long presentation, and it's a stunning presentation of speakers. And Jon Favreau was there. He was like one of the last keynote speakers. Well, it was like an interview session. It was like very informal. And he talks about his experience with real-time rendering and film production, and how that's affected his collaboration and his like artistic landscape. It's pretty crazy, you know, considering he's done the Jungle Book and Lion King, which I think the Lion King just like grossed a record amount or something. I don't know. I saw something on Twitter.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it like earned a lot of money. So, you know, the fact that he can go to Siggraph and like be a big voice about like why real-time visualization is so important in film production is pretty cool. So, yeah, but Matt was there too. He was one of the speakers.
Yeah, the thing I liked about his presentation was he talked about how he's a true DP and not a programmer, and he was doing some really insane stuff there, and it spoke to me about the approachability of the software.
Yeah.
You know, if this is a working cinematographer getting into this realm, which he said wasn't a bunch of work, and he caveated it to death, saying, "I'm not a programmer. I did not do this, you know, research and." You know, so that spoke to me how approachable it was.
Yeah. For me, the most programming that I know, the programming I know the best is Basic. You know,
Yeah.
Go to.
You know.
Go to
Yeah.
20. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
You're
to,
not- then you're my age.
Yeah.
You just aged yourself.
Yeah.
He doesn't know Basic. I know Basic.
and then QBasic, you know, stepped it up a notch when the PC came out, you know. But
Oh yeah, there's a figure for the Lion King. Thanks, Perry.
1.3 billion.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we're all in it for the money, all of us. Right?
Right. Yeah. That's it.
Sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just convert my exposure dollars to real money. There's an exchange
Can't tell you
now.
how many hot dogs we've sold.
Yeah, exactly.
We sell so many hot dogs.
So Okay, so let's talk about. Well, okay, wait. Did we answer the question fully about Unity and Unreal? About why you would choose one over the other?
Yeah, that's such a good question. When I first started out, I started using Unreal, and my interest kind of peaked when it came to like programming and just like how to actually set up a full game experience application, what have you. And I enjoyed Unreal Engine. It's you can literally dump things into it and it looks beautiful, straight away. It
Mm-hmm.
just looks so good. But and kind of take this with a grain of salt because I had no idea what I was doing when I started doing this stuff in 2015. I was just like experimenting
Mm-hmm.
and seeing if, throwing things at the wall, see if they would stick. And so a lot of those concepts were just over my head. And then I started looking at Unity and the component system in Unity, like how everything lives in the scene and just how things communicate via script communications and things. Jason Latta in the comment section there. He actually taught me a lot about programming basics and stuff. So kind of building on that, it took me forever to really understand what I was doing. But now it's like for rapid prototyping in Unity, it's so fast. And it's not even like a learning curve, it's a learning wall. At least it was for me.
Mm.
But I was really adamant about, if I'm going to do this, I want to learn how programmers think so that I can collaborate with developers.
Yeah.
And that just kind of was my journey into Unity. So going into Unreal now, I probably would enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
But they kind of have their own names for things like, event dispatchers and stuff. Like they kind of call it like different things.
Who does?
Unreal Engine.
Unreal does?
Yeah, they just have like, and they're not like far deviations from like standard programming norms.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was like just literally Googling the verbiage in there, I was like, is this related to this programming thing that I know? And the concepts for me at that point were hard to transfer. But now looking back at it, like I was looking at some of the real-time ray tracing implementation in I think it's 4.2. Well, I don't even know what we're on now, but I just downloaded the latest one and I'm starting to get back into it just because they have the best implementation of real-time ray tracing, like the DXR API. So it's like actually really, really good. There's tons of videos online of people experimenting with it now. Just enabling DXR and doing some stuff in DirectX 12. So that seems to me like if you're going for superior graphics capabilities, definitely go into the Unreal Engine. Like, I mean, I think anyone in the industry would be like, yeah, their graphics division is insane. Like, it's always been insane since 1998 or 97.
Mm-hmm.
But, Unity in terms of modularity and just being able to collaborate with developers who understand .NET frameworks and C#, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty, it's less resistant, I guess, for developers to jump into it because they don't have to learn blueprints and some of the verbiage.
Yeah, blueprints. Blueprints is really cool because it feels kind of like espresso in Cinema 4D to me in a way. And when I saw that, I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And I just kept hopping back and forth between Unity and Unreal. And I'm trying to figure out like which one I want to use. But Unity feels more like Cinema 4D to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
yeah,
so,
I think so
I feel like that's, if I ever get around, I mean, maybe this winter, like maybe in the holidays, and I have every minute of every day practically booked for the rest of the year. But like maybe if I get a little bit of time, I'd love to hop into that. And language-wise, again, programming is my biggest hurdle, and I think you and I were talking at that party that we were at Siggraph about which is like the best language to learn right now. Because you've got in so many different areas, you have different languages. The Java, not JavaScript, right? Or do I have that backwards? And then you've got like Python and then C#. Mm-hmm. I'm like, which one should I dabble with, if anything? It sounds like C# is kind of the way to go right now.
It's super friendly. Yeah, it's like really good to get into, and it's very fun to use. Python, I would learn C# first, just because like you could take that principle understanding and those concepts in C# and just transfer them into like a scripting language similar to Python.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know. There's a lot of developers here that came from like PHP and JavaScript, and that's kind of how they learned all their fundamentals and building blocks. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a wrong or right or wrong. It's just kind of like getting into it and create something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Don't try not to follow too many tutorials. Like especially in programming, I would probably look at like documentation and the scripting API inside of Unity, and just try to make just something, and then just keep building on that understanding. But it's a hard path to go down, especially for an artist trying to learn programming, because artists kind of like pull from all these different sources of inspiration, and programming is very kind of linear and analytical, and you can do it modularly, but usually with experience you get to that point.
And Jason's asking, where to learn that C#. Is it good to go to a resource for that, or is it easier to go, say, find a tutorial on how to do very simple things in Unity and learn the C# as you're going? Is that even possible to learn it that way? Yeah,
there's Brackeys, which is a huge Unity community source. I think he's in Copenhagen. He's got an amazing YouTube channel, tons of videos.
How do you
it.
Pronounce that again, or how do you spell that even?
Brackeys, Brackeys.
CKEYS. Is that
Yeah.
.com?
If you just Google it, I think you probably land on his YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it's so big. He's got like 500,000 or something.
Yeah.
And his stuff is amazing. He has free assets and stuff that you can jump into and start creating your own types of games. I think the weird thing about game development is that we're so exposed to immersive entertainment that everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna go make my first FPS or whatever. And it's actually like way more complicated and such a larger project than what you would think. So definitely just do something super small, like do something really, really small, and just build on that.
Rick was asking, have you looked into the recent beta support for the C4D project imports?
Yeah, it's been kind of hard to follow that, because they actually Datasmith and what's some of the other technologies that they have right now? They had that Unreal Studio thing happening for a while. They were promoting that really heavily.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fallen off, but like Datasmith is supposed to be like a part of Unreal Studio. And then there's they also bought Twinmotion. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, that's pretty crazy. It's like an ArcViz tool, and the UI is like so awesome. Like it's like
it's easy to use, or
yeah, it's like so easy to use. You're just like drag and dropping things, and like it's like I want rain, and then you just like crank the rain slider up.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's for ArcViz.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Oh, so it's like, oh, here's some trees. Like it's almost like having Forester or something.
Yeah,
add some people.
The people and like the traffic system and stuff. I was like, wow, this is so easy. Like this is so crazy. So I think software will definitely get to a point where you're going to see a similar flat UI like this, where it's just like you just have these softwares like that are DCCs that you create content in, but then you have these other kind of like larger broad stroke, like I'm going to bring everything into this and compile it together and make something immersive, or just make video content with it.
I think Unreal had that VR interface for a while too, where you could like build worlds with the VR helmet on, which I really like that. And I'm also like digging this idea that not Unreal, Unity, they both start with a U, and it's so confusing to me. Unity actually has been able to import C4D files for a long time.
Yes.
But now it's available in both. But the thing is, even with using Unity C4D import, there were some issues. And if you had like some very large files, like it was just so heavy. And I don't remember, it may have been you that told me this. I don't remember, but doing the Cineversity, the FBX export thing where you could like take little components and export them as FBX made it a lot easier. So in my head, I'm like, well, you still need to import FBX. But what I'm digging about this new import is bringing in the Redshift, Octane textures and things. If that's the deal, then I'm really liking that, because my setback when I was trying to mess around between the two was, okay, like I can get the geometry in, but now I have to like retexture it in, and
it's like 5 days, like just of like getting everything looking how it was in your offline DCC app. There's I know Unreal Engine they're partnering with V-Ray very heavily to like bring everything from like Max and some of those other softwares over completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a part of the whole Unreal Studio allure. They were just like, oh yeah, you can use it, and not have to worry about things getting lost. The Unity C4D implementation actually does convert everything to FBX in the background.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So it's like,
the problem is refreshing assets, because you refresh an asset in Cinema 4D and it's got to bring all of it back in every time you resave. And the other thing, and maybe I'm not sure if I have this right or not, but after talking to a couple different people, let me fix you real quick here.
Okay.
Camera. Refresh. There we go.
There we go.
I think the internet blooped a little bit. I think that's what happened. We had a hiccup in the interwebs. I'm gonna mark that real quick. While we're in a marker situation here right now, I forgot to have you do a sync with me, so let's do that really quick. It'll be 1, 2, 3, clap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. So
wait, you didn't clap.
So my I guess when you do stuff like Al Heck told me a lot about the square textures, like 512 by 512 or 1024.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, I'm like, okay, that seems like a lot of trouble trying to get your textures square and whatnot. Is any of that getting automated in such a way to where someone like me who has no idea what he's doing can have a little bit easier time getting texturing right? Or
I think that's where like Substance is amazing. The whole Substance suite, just using like the Substance source repository in Designer, it's pretty amazing, like what you can do with tileable textures that way. The one thing that does add a lot of frustration is draw calls. So like having all of these different materials is going to crank up your batches, and then you're going to have to like figure out a way to consolidate things into a larger texture atlas and use like a standard shader on just like most things. Because if you want that detail and you want those objects, don't do them individually,
right?
Because you'll have a million different materials and a million different objects. So there's a lot to be said about purposefully curating art assets,
because that becomes CPU heavy at that point, right? Not just maybe RAM, but like the draw calls, that's a CPU concern. Is that right? Am I getting that right? I don't know the terminology.
The draw calls is definitely like a load that's being put onto the GPU, but you can become GPU or CPU bound, which basically means one of your something in your scene is you're not feeding your GPU, or your CPU isn't getting enough work. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a big balancing act. It's kind of hard to talk about if there's not like a specific situation, and they're all different.
Oh, okay.
That's where that's where profiling and optimization comes into play. You got to really dig deep and figure out like what is happening, what assets are causing that to happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about the Siggraph floor.
Yes.
Everything that I saw, which was not a lot, I'll also say I had a migraine on the first day of all days. The first morning, migraine. So pretty much what I saw was the inside of the booth or the toilet, because my migraine was so incredibly bad. So in those many times I was going back, I saw a lot of cool stuff in that one little row of people doing motion tracking and doing like live set stuff, handheld cameras, interacting with people and live sets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is like completely up your alley.
Yeah.
How much of this stuff is like, hey, that's really cool, but that's like really expensive and long term? How much of it is like now? You know, because you see a lot of futuristic stuff and things that are being developed, and sometimes it's like, okay, that's cool, but how long before like I can do that easily?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and Tom, please feel free to jump in, but we saw a ton of commodity hardware being repurposed in some way. So
Some good, some bad.
some good, some bad. Exactly. But the funny thing is that this kind of idea of reality capture, of being able to record or take photographs or videos of things in the real world and translating them into some type of data that we can use like for animators or motion graphics, is like super prevalent. It's something that we're going to see very soon with like ARKit 3. I mean, we already have skeletal tracking and like motion capture that can happen from just like your camera's input feed, you know,
And the
like
human occlusion? No, what is it called? Like human, you know what I'm talking about?
segmentation, or like they call it a lot of different things.
So where like,
But yeah.
you know, I saw a demo. There's a vase on a table in AR, and you wave your hand, and it actually goes in front of it. Your hand goes in front of it instead of your hand going behind the vase on the counter. That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The whole idea of like having depth cameras on cell phones, and you're actually having multiple cameras now on mobile devices. So you can start leveraging some of that to create something, you know, a tool that was once conceived as very expensive is now kind of like being repurposed on commodity hardware. I mean, just like even the Rococo suits that we use here, you know, 5 years ago, that would have been a really big investment to jump into motion capture. I mean, even the XN suits are very expensive. They're like two times as much as the Rococo suits.
Two times.
But you know,
two times.
there's all these trade-offs to solutions. You know, like the Rococo suit, it has magnetic sensors on it. So for some people, especially people in Japan and those who are in skyscrapers, magnetic technology is not something that you want to have into your data stream, you know, because it can make it kind of go wonky and like not actually perform like it should. So, you know, using a solution like XNs, which has this inertia technology, it doesn't matter like what environment you're in.
So, wait, inertia technology, are you saying that it's able to kind of predict a path with that, or am I completely off by saying that?
Yeah, I don't know if they really spell out their secret sauce. A lot of the marketing materials just talk about how they don't rely on magnetic technology. So like if you're using a magnometer or whatever it's called, you're basically, each sensor on your body is directing to true north. So it's almost like a compass.
Okay.
So that can actually help solve the rotational data that's happening from the gyroscope and accelerometer. But with the XN suit, it looks like it's like tubing or something. Like, I don't know if it's like actual sensors or not. But I didn't really delve into conversations with developers or software engineers, just because we just looked at Rococo and we were like, yeah, this looks great.
Yeah, and then the cages we saw with the volumetric capture there, those were, we didn't see the higher end one, we saw the lower end one.
Yeah.
Which you had no legs because you were black.
What is volumetric capture?
So that's, did I share that project that I did in New York with Elliot Mitchell and Ellie Zananiri? Did I show you that project?
Which one?
The Rag and Bone project that we did for Fashion Week in New York with Thom York.
I think you showed me something in person. I don't think you sent it to me, but yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the idea of taking 3D video and photos. So, you know, you have red, green, and blue for each rastered image. But now you're going to add another layer on top of that. So you have RGBD, which is like depth. So what that allows you to do is kind of figure out how far something is in relation to the camera, and then actually distort that with like points that are then captured with like texture and color. So that is actually pretty special, because then you can actually do performance capture. You could actually, capture products and, all kinds of stuff in the physical world.
What were they using on the one? There was a booth, was across from, I think, Unreal or Unity? I can't remember, but across from Maxon. And they were putting those suits on gymnasts.
Yeah. It was the Exons booth, I think.
Okay. That was pretty incredible, because you got people that are in motion capture suits, moving around, doing crazy stuff, up in the air, on a ring that's rotating around at the same time. It looked pretty incredible. I didn't really get a chance to go look at it, but it looked like the live capture data was pretty on point.
Oh, it's amazing. Their technology that they have is absolutely amazing.
And we use the motion capture not just for that one project I talked about, the previs, but we had another 2D animation project where we had a simple, we'd have a complex move of the 2D person, and it could have taken us 2 days to get it right as far as somebody doing multiple complex movements. So we thought, well, let's wait a week until the suit comes in and we'll bang this out in an hour. Tie the rigging to it and be done. And then we just took the 3D data and swung it down to 2D and made it work. But there's an efficiency sake for a lot of our 2D friends out there that motion capture does provide and can help really just save time.
Yeah. For reference in general, like looking at a 2D video versus like 3D data, it's like pretty amazing, like being able to use that to inform the animation.
What would a price point be to even get started with something like that? I know it's going to be, there's going to be some money involved, but how much are we talking?
I think the Rococo.
16?
Yeah, 16. I mean, we bought three or five. Well,
we went all out. So
yeah,
we bought 3 suits with an extra sized texture. So a texture is basically the prison jumpsuit, and the full suit has the wiring through it. Yeah. So we cannot capture 3 people at once, but we have the 4 sizes covered, small through extra large.
Yeah.
So one pro tip there is just watch your Wi-Fi. The towers, Wi-Fi sucks, and the laptop's Wi-Fi cards are good, so you capture on the laptop.
Yeah. Make sure you have a good Wi-Fi module.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah, because it streams over 5G preferably.
Okay.
So 5 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what else do you see on the floor you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the floor in general. Oh, well, this isn't like a big surprise or any new industry news, but Substance walked by their booth. I don't know if I informed you, but from industry friends, I found out that Wes McDermott, who does like all of the Substance outreach, who does all the videos, he lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and I had no idea. And I've been trying to track him down just to meet up in town, and he's been so busy. He was traveling, and then he was like at Nike, like giving demonstrations and stuff. And he's just a super. He has like all the information that you would ever need about PBR rendering and texture authoring and stuff. He's just amazing. And he's a super sweet guy too. So that was really cool to meet him. I had to go all the way to LA just to meet him.
Yeah.
So I give him a hard time about that. Yeah. But in terms of other show floor stuff, definitely spent a lot of time in Unreal Engine just because I met a lot of great people. And then definitely stopped by the Unity booth, of course. There were some other smaller booths too that I didn't have a lot of time to go and look at. Most of my Siggraph experience was spent like behind closed doors and in like sessions and courses and talks.
Do you want to summarize? Do you remember what ones you went to?
Yeah. You could. Please feel free to
Mine's
jump in
open.
too. Yeah.
I went to the NVIDIA real-time ray tracing. They did a guy from Neoscope did a architectural visualization kind of case study. It was really cool. I went to the render farming, Birds of a Feather. That was really, really good. A lot of GPU, CPU, chats, etc. Let's see, we did the live stage thing. What was that? That was, but
Oh, it was the studio probably.
oh yeah. I don't know. I think the only other thing I wanted to call out that I thought was really cool I went to was the computer graphics expertise further machine learning, and this was a guy at Google. Google what? TensorFlow, and he was an animator who got into machine learning, and he was talking about how the programming learning and the programming for it all was so similar, and he was just telling people, hey, if you guys are out there and you're motion graphic people, don't think you can't get into this machine learning realm, and that's where I came from. And then he went down the wormhole of all of the details and how they do it and everything else, which was kind of interesting as well. But I think that was kind of and then the 3D stock thing was a okay demo. But that's kind of what I saw.
Did you see any like AI upscaling stuff there? Because that's really starting to get popular.
They didn't have any. I didn't make any classes. I'm not sure there were any, because the problem with Siggraph is there's so many interesting things you want to go to, and then you only have so much time, and some are longer, and they overlap, and then you can't make it, and the one you want to go to has a line. It's very frenetic during the day, and you really need a plan B for pretty much every section of the day. Because you never know what's going to be jammed and you can't get into. But
which happened a lot this year, by the way.
But
tons of lines.
I'm trying to remember. I would have wanted to go to that, but I don't think I saw that on the menu. It doesn't mean it wasn't on the menu, but I mean, definitely you've seen a lot of machine learning for keying things out and removing stuff out of painting or whatever. But,
actually, that just reminded me. At Real Time Live, they did the NVIDIA actually won the Best in Show. What was it called? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like the one where you can paint, like.
The AI painting thing. Because I think you posted on Facebook that you were playing with it, and so I think we played with it on the show. You can like paint the sky and the ground and rocks and all that.
It's amazing. It's trained on like all of these different images. And then real quick, what I went through was GPU ray tracing for film and design. Are we done with ray tracing? Advancements in real-time rendering, part 1. And then Morgan McGuire did this. He's awesome, by the way. He works at NVIDIA, but you should follow him on Twitter. He's posts a lot of amazing stuff. But production scale, real-time ray tracing. And then I made a little note about real-time live, about all the different things that was showing there. I went to Avengers Endgame production session talk, which was...
Oh my God, the line for that was crazy. They like shut down a section of the building. Do you want to go to Endgame? No, I'm just looking for this room. Like, good, because you can't go past here. Like, that was a popular one.
That was ridiculous. They like shut down the whole building for that.
Wow.
And then intro to real-time ray tracing, and then I went to USD and Hydra, so Universal Scene Description and Hydra from Pixar.
Can you
all their R&D.
Can you explain USD? First of all, it's going to be terrible Google foo for that term, but USD. Can you explain what that is for people who, like me, who don't quite understand what's going on with that? Because that's the new hip term of the month right now.
I'll try to summarize some of this stuff because I got like.
Here you go, Brandon. Really, I'll just keep doing this.
In like one or two sentences.
In a nutshell, what is USD?
It's an archival format. It's developed with Apple. It actually runs on iOS, which is pretty cool, and it contains primitives and textures, and a lot of other stuff too. So it's like it's a scene description format, but it's highly efficient. Like the hierarchies of how everything is listed, and the file size, the actual zip compression, and everything. It's supposed to be ubiquitous. Like you can open it anywhere. That's the idea. It would be like Alembic, but on steroids. It actually can contain Alembic data inside of it too. So it's like this large wrapper.
But because it's doing primitives, is it basically? Is it kind of like a vectorized version of geometry in the way that it's formatted? Does that make sense? Like the way vector-based stuff is not like a JPEG, right? It's numbers based. Am I anywhere in the ballpark of what that means? So like an Alembic contains like full geometry, but if you didn't have to contain that full geometry, see, this is what I'm trying to figure out, this USD thing. I have no idea.
Well, just some of my like little cliff notes here. It's like fully read into memory when you open it. Okay. So on larger stations, obviously it'd be great if you can utilize some of that memory. It reads only the prim and property hierarchy when open. So it doesn't load in like all this other stuff. It's like highly efficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't quite get it. I'm going to have to go Google this.
Yeah. So watch some of the talks from 2016 Siggraph because it's pretty amazing how fast the files open and like how many millions of primitives are in that scene. And it's unreal. I mean, that and Hydra is like the viewport. Mm-hmm. So it's like a graphics API for viewing and distorting and manipulating 3D objects. So in conjunction with those, I mean, like that two stuff is like what allows the artists at Pixar to be able to do all of their craft so quickly and efficiently. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to research for myself so I know what the kids are talking about these days. But did you see any? Did you see like the like there's some such random stuff there, like that skin, the 3D printable skin stuff with the creepy looking mask? Did you see that?
No.
You didn't? Okay, I'm gonna have to find a picture.
Was that at the studio?
It was at it was like behind the Otoy booth. It's like 3D printable skin, and it was so realistic looking. And they had like a Chris Farley and a Dwight from The Office and a prison Mike from The Office printed.
Wow.
I'll have to find it. Somebody posted it on Instagram. It might have been Brodor or someone.
Yeah, you really do need like the full week. If you're someone who's like me, has a curious nature, it's like you have to go that whole week because there's so much to see.
It just that this year's Siggraph tied in with our company's annual meeting that Brandon had to come back for.
Yeah.
So he cut his trip short, and that also involved our motion capture suits. We had a dance off. So he built everything in Unity, and people judge the contestants on their avatar. And then once and then we revealed who the winner was.
Who it was. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it worked out great.
That's awesome. Did you see anything? There was a VR theater and all of that. Yeah. VR wise, did you see anything that looked really cool?
I know that Baobab Studios won again. They're like so award winning. Like they're amazing. But I don't know what short it was that was shown in the theater that won. But I love the VR theater, and it's such a hot ticket thing. Like, you have to reserve a place early in the week just to be able to see it, because, they're back to back to back. Actually, one of the guys, Ellie Zananiri, worked on a short called 0 Days VR that was in the VR theater last year, I believe.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and that's who the guy was that I worked with on the short in New York with the Fashion Week stuff. So. I mean, like, yeah, it's such an incredible medium, and it's so. I mean, it's true what people say. It is isolating, but the fact that you're truly immersed is just when you have to like experience it. It's just so experiential. Like there's no other way to put it.
Sage said they showed The Great Sea at VR Theater this year.
Oh, cool.
How is that set up? Because I didn't even get to peek my head in there. Like I never get to do any of this stuff. Like
it's like locked off. Yeah, I mean if you don't have
tickets, you need tickets.
But you need tickets, and you got to stand in line.
Is it seats? Do you go in and like maybe a group of 10 people sit down, or do you walk around? Like what is a theater per se? Like
you were in a pool. You had to have your bathing suit. They give you a towel, and they.
Completely.
They're like spraying you. It's like 4D.
Sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation.
Yeah,
you're like floating.
Yeah, saltwater.
No, it's like when you walk in, it's like a tent setup. So It's round, so all the workstations are. I think there's like 20 to 25 workstations, and you just sit down and you're pretty much isolated. So when you walk in, it's really creepy.
Okay, so you do sit down.
Yeah, you do sit
Okay,
down.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, for your own safety, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I walk around with mine on now, but
it still boggles my mind, especially if you're going to a conference like that, how many people haven't experienced like room scale VR.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I think it would be too great of a learning curve. I mean, probably in the future it's going to be expected, but like even nowadays, like I'll show someone something and I'll be like, "Now take a step forward," and they're like, "Really? I can like take a step forward?"
Yeah, you can move.
You can move.
Yeah.
It's full room scale. You can throw things on the ground, pick it up.
Well, even with the new Rift, with the the fact that you can flip back and forth, like they have the little beta checkbox. If you triple click your home button, you can see your surroundings. In stereo. It's not perfect, but it's one of those things where you're sitting in the seat with it on and you hear your phone going off and you're like, where's my phone? And you just triple click and then you grab your phone and, oh, okay, cool. And you set it down. Like, that mixed with even the couple menu elements and things that they have, I'm already excited for where AR is going.
The Oculus Quest, is that the one you're
mine
talking
is the
about?
Rift S.
The Rift S.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a great product, and so is the Oculus Quest.
Yeah.
I mean, the Quest is like it's so worth the entry price.
Mm-hmm.
It's tracking your position in real time. It has cameras on it, so you can walk around your play area that you map out in your house. No cords. It's running Android. So some of the experiences are like kind of, packaged down to fit that device. But I mean, it's amazing.
Even in the Rift S, though, I'm like, are they gonna maybe do something that's a little bit mixed reality? Because they got those cameras on there. I was actually Googling the other day to see, is there anything even simple, cool that you could like do a little bit of mixed reality with the outside cameras? It's black and white and it's not that great, but still, like, if I could play a game of chess or something on my coffee table with somebody, I don't know, like, I'm ready to get this AR thing started. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to. I'm ready to see.
What's going to start is navigation, which just dropped. So
yeah,
I think AR is going to take off when your grandparents are using it with Google Maps, and they're going to say, "How do I get there?" And they're going to hold up their phone, and then when they start doing it, it's going to integrate in. I think. Yeah. And I'm not saying that the grandparents are first adopters, but that's going to show a lot of other companies that this is very real and very tangible and very usable. Yeah. So it's going to start with directions and then go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole walking experience is actually really cool if you haven't seen that. Like, you can pull out your phone and get walking directions in AR. It's pretty sweet.
On what? On Google?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on Google Maps.
On Google? Mm-hmm. See, I'm thinking more like the glasses, though. Like, the glasses is when it's really going to hype up, or if there's however it's done to where you can you don't have to use your phone. Because AR is kind of cool on the phone, but I want to see it in something.
Right, but let's not forget the blowback from the Google Glass. That was no, I mean it. That was some really ugly privacy concerns, and I think, for all we know, Google's cursed to relaunch in that realm. Yeah. Based on that, and someone else is going to have to do it, or the public's ready for it this time. But I think the public's concern over privacy has gotten greater, not lighter, since Google Glass came out. So unsure, like, are they going to make a model that just doesn't take pictures and that covers it? Maybe that would be the solve. I don't know.
See, I don't quite understand that. It's because it's not like you can't do that. I mean, there's glasses that you can buy with a camera in them. You can put a camera anywhere. Like, I mean,
that's a broader discussion about what the media is worried about and what the real issue is.
Right,
and that,
exactly.
We could go all day. We could go all day.
Yeah, we're all gonna die. That's the. But it's like the thing for me is, like, even Google Glass, it wasn't like full field of vision either. So
no, that's a big thing, is the side.
Yeah.
You know, you can have it immersive on the front, but if you're not covering the side, you're missing a whole bunch of degrees there.
Yeah.
Oakley will get involved, I guess. I don't know.
I know. Jason will answer it in a second.
Yeah,
give him a second.
Jason's the guy right now.
Our third guest. Let me introduce Jason.
Jason. He's our good buddy.
Yeah.
He lives here, and we work a lot with Jason here in Louisville.
Yeah.
But yeah, I read a tech article like forever ago about Apple trying. It was like rumors, speculation of what their AR glasses or whatever it's going to be, but they were talking about streaming it from your phone to like designer, like very nice looking glasses.
Yeah, Warby Parker.
That's going to be the first step, because you're going to need processing power, and there's no way right now they're going to fit that into a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the funny thing is like the A10 chip or whatever it is in the iPhone X, like Apple started manufacturing their own microprocessors, and I believe there was another article I read about like Intel not supplying them processors anymore in the future for their products because their microprocessors are so good, like they're getting so powerful. And then if you look at Qualcomm, what they're doing right now, the speed and flexibility that they offer is like insane, and like mobile devices and like tiny little resistors, and I don't even know how those geniuses make things the way they do. It's so crazy.
Yep.
But
hey Dave, we got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I did want to call out one thing at Siggraph that would surprise me that I'm sure not everyone expected, but I went to a non-technical session. It was marketing and branding strategies for global talent acquisition, which I thought was poorly worded and poorly named.
Yeah, that sounds like a snoozer based on the title, right?
But it was a bunch of recruiters talking about how to position yourself as an animator or a designer or a rigger or whatever else, and how you're going to find work and how people will find you. And I thought, you know, the amount of people at this convention that were freelance and working on their own or have their own small company that weren't at this session, that was like 20 people. It was insane. I just thought this was a really, really informative, non-technical session that, I mean, it helped us with the Thethree Productions. It got me thinking about a lot of that stuff. But I think there's the gamut at Siggraph, which everybody knows, but I just thought this was a really good one about how to market yourself and how to get more work and how to switch companies and everything else that Siggraph provided.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Siggraph. Go for the tech, stay for the people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's about.
That's the thing we were talking about in the Monday meeting this morning, is that when you go out there, or any of these conventions, I mean like NAB or any of these things, you could potentially advance your career like a year within a week. You know, the people you meet and everything you learn and whatever that is. Networking is great online, but there are these things that happen there that will push you forward so fast in where you want to go, and it's definitely recommended. It's a great time.
And it's not like a trivial thing. It's just like going and talking to people, and like because everyone in the room has the same interest as you, so it's the easiest place to talk to people and find out more about what they're doing and what, you know.
And I think it provides something for everybody. I mean, I'm a producer, not an animator, designer, 3D guy, or anything. And I went out there just for kind of infrastructure needs and some technological trends and what stuff could tie to our client work. And there was a lot there for me. So I think if you think, oh, we should only send our, you know, animator or 3D guy or Unity guy or whatever else, I don't think that's a valid POV there.
Yeah, 100%.
Any other things before we take off?
I wish we could chat more. It's flown by.
Well, we could definitely chat more at a later date. We got a lot of open slots on our schedule we're filling right now. Just because I've been behind in reaching out to people, so you know we'll definitely do another one.
Yeah.
Miss Matt on the podcast.
Do you do polls for what your audience wants to hear, or what? Because if there's a mocap one, we'd love to do that for you.
Yeah. Live stream, live mocap.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. We could do a stream where you're like an avatar.
Yeah,
exactly.
That would be fun. Okay. We should do that.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the difference between us doing it and the people selling the suits is we have no dog in the fight. We're not telling you have to get this as the greatest thing. We're just saying here's how we use it.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know.
Right.
So.
Raid Zero's here. He said he just dropped his Redshift auto shaders. I'm excited about that. I want to try that out. He came out with the Octane pack. And auto as in not automatic shading, but auto as in automobile.
Oh, like your Audi there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
They're pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I guess we're gonna get out of here. I do want to mention real quick that there are still a few tickets left for Camp Mograph if you're interested in going. We are going to be closing near the beginning of September. I don't have the date on me right now. We're going to be closing tickets for that, but that is going to be so much fun, and we're super excited. There's so many great people going. So get on that. We got a Camp Mograph song that we'll play next week, I think, too. That was written for us, which is super awesome. And I got to go start planning some more things for Camp Mograph, so I got to get out of here, too. Next week, we actually still have an empty slot next week. Matt and I are trying to figure out if we're going to do just the two of us show, which we haven't done since way back in the day, or if we're actually going to get someone in that slot. But we have some really great people that we've been talking to about getting on the schedule. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review, and subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice. That really helps get our ratings up. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, Paul Babb, Feel the Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders, and the Render Things shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee. And then, of course, the new one that I'm wearing, the That Render Is Fire shirt. All available. I'll put links up on the site soon, but they are all on Amazon if you'd like to search for them on there. And, of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Mograph.com. Make sure that you subscribe to our new channels because the old ones will be going away. So, Thom, Brandon, Thethree Productions.com's all spelled out. That's where we can find you. Any other links or handles you want to throw out there? Twitters, Instagrams, all of that.
That's it.
Cool.
I don't know.
Cool.
I love Cheez-Its.
I like
Who doesn't?
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being on, and we're gonna get out of here. So until next week,
yeah.
I'm Dave.
Now, Brandon.
I'm Thom.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Later, yo. All right. Hold on 1 second, and I'm going to do our switch over here. Play us out for the interweb audience.